Hello and welcome to another FENEX webinar, this time hosted with VBH. And today we've got a really good in-depth panel. So if I could just quickly run through who we have. We have Simon Monks, he's the VBH GB Managing Director. We've got Yogesh from Everglade. We've got Chris Reeks from FenTrade Aluminium.
Hi. We've
got Mark from Tradesmith.
Hi.
And we've got myself, Jason. So this is VBH's webinar. We've got a lot of topics to cover during this talk, and I'm going to let Simon take the reins from here, and we'll delve right in.
Sure, thanks a lot, Jason. So I think, by the time we put this obviously at the exhibition, we'll probably have a bit more of a clearer picture about what's happening with the lockdown. But at the time of recording this, obviously, we're still in the belly at the end of the year. So might be a nice quick check from all the guys to see, how they found the lockdown situation, how they've been open, how they've been busy, and what's been good for them, PVC, aluminium, sales, and products generally. So over to Chris Reeks.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, well, we were shut for 6 weeks when the sort of lockdown Mark 1 came in, as it were. We reopened back up, everything in place, restrictions, etc., everything as safe as we could make it. Business just started flying and has continued since. To be honest, it's not. We haven't seen sort of an impact of restriction in terms of trade from the lockdown itself, which I think is fair to say across everybody. But it has, it's done well for us, and it continues to do so. Obviously, Wales has been subject to some rather strange lockdown measures. We sort of went regional, then we went national in terms of sort of Wales as a whole, even into lockdown 2 before England went into it. But it's not had sort of an impact upon our industry and our business in itself here in Wales. We've managed to trade through. We've seen sales increase again as much as everybody else seems to have in the industry. So dare I say, COVID hasn't really had a negative impact on the business from our perspective.
Yogesh, Mark, have you found the same thing, or?
Yeah, very, very much so. After the first lockdown, we came back unsure what was going to happen, but then it just took off, and it hasn't slowed down yet. Our customers are just so busy. As you know, we're only a trade manufacturer, but our customers, the installers, they're booked up in March now. It's been great for us, to be honest. It's the only positive I can think out of this whole thing. That, personally for Tradesmith, good news.
So again, a similar kind of experience from Everglade perspective. So we closed for a month for the initial lockdown, but during that time, our salespeople kept on engaging with our regular customers. We were still pricing inquiries and taking orders. And when we reopened, we were able to hit the ground running and really get production back into full flow. And since we reopened following the initial lockdown, we've been flat out and have actually experienced the other kind of problem, the nice to have problem of how do we manage all of this production? How do we get all of these goods out the door on time, with the right level of quality and so on. But we also found that COVID sped up a few changes within our business. So things like working from home, offering our staff that option of being more flexible, because I don't think that would have happened, or maybe if it did, it would have happened several years down the line. So I think COVID was fantastic from that point of view. So it's kind of changed our business model, how we operate, the way that we interact with our staff and customers, doing things online. So in many ways, it's made things a lot more efficient, and it stress tested us as well. So I feel like now we've, gone through this major challenge with COVID, things like Brexit and, whatever may be thrown at us in the future as a business. We're a lot more confident about tackling, unforeseen events and issues and so on.
Yeah, I think personally, it's been possibly the steepest learning curve that any of us would have encountered. You're talking not just about potentially, if say for example it was an industry downturn, that's one thing, but this was a completely something the world had never seen before. Specifically from our perspective, and I think from our industry as alone. For the most part, and it's great to hear from our partners are feeling the same thing. We've all come out okay from it. The businesses is booming. There's a lot of activity out there. There's certainly people talking about having order books going into potentially the spring of next year, which is really encouraging as well. And I think from our view too, what's been really cute from VBH's point of view, I should say, is the product mix as well. So it's quite interesting to see what we've seen as popular products. But interestingly, in the panel here that we have today, we Mark very very heavily on the UPVC side. Chris is an aluminium fabricator, and Yogesh does a bit of both. I'd be interested to understand what the popular products that you guys found through coming out of the lockdown, and what's sort of filling up the order books really.
We found a lot of people when they were working at home, they were building out sheds for home working and things like that. So like either they had big extensions going in where we had a lot of patio doors, bifold doors, or people built specific home offices, in their gardens. And again, that would put a more of an emphasis on the demand for things like patios and bifold doors. So we felt like that there was quite a big upturn in the demand for those products.
I'd have to agree with you there, Yogesh. It's certainly our bifold sales were very consistent with last year, and just slightly up on last year. But what we found, certainly on the patio door side of it, inline sliders, our sales were up 30% on last year, and that's quite a good sort of indictment of, as you say, the sort of the lifestyle type products that you've been ordering.
Yeah, I think what we found was the product mix on UPVC has changed. Starting to see a lot more orders on colour, and also the flush / traditional type window is, that is just more than it has done in the past. We've had some starts and stops with it, but now I think with people being at home so long, they've had a chance to think about it a little bit more rather than just go, right, this is what we're going to do. They're looking around, seeing the options of colour, seeing the styles that they can get. So we are seeing a higher value product post COVID than before.
I think that we I think theorised that myself and Jason we had a lovely conversation a couple of months ago talking about our experiences through the lockdown and what VBH was doing.
Yeah.
And I was saying to him at the time that that money that people probably would have necessarily put on a foreign holiday or this, that, and the other, it's been sat in the bank account. And I think when you've been working at home, and as Yogesh was indicating as well, people are thinking about different ways to potentially work at home too. So you've got the advent of building the home office out in the garden, or potentially saying, well, actually, I want to invest in something like a Grand Designs type scenario. So I want to be able to have, a lift and slide, or a bifolding door, or an Invisifold product, or flush windows. I think that it's quite encouraging. I think for all of us in this industry that we're moving away more to the quality end of what the homeowner wants, and that people are engaging with that a lot more. And it goes back to, I think, everything that we've seen on television and in the magazines, this lifestyle, as we call it in VBH, and I think it's a term that other people use as well, that has sort of gripped the homeowner about what they want to do. And when this lockdown, and it's relieved, and hopefully by the time we get to the main show of FENEX, we're in a better position to be able to say that. I think there's still people wanting to show off, their homestead.
I think people have had that opportunity during the lockdown to do more research than ever before. So, time that our customers are coming to us with inquiries they've not had before, specific like coast-rated hardware, where we're based right down on the south coast. So before they never used to ask, but now they're actually coming and asking, you know, what can we do there? So it does seem to me as though the homeowner is doing a lot more research than they've done in the past.
I would agree with that. If I could, Mark, just to go back to a point about products that you found yourself selling more of. So I guess I would represent the installers here. And I've got to say, we have sold a ton more of colour and flush and timber look joints. I mean, if I was to go into our stores now, most of it is grey and agate grey and flush. There's not much white there. There's no white doors. We don't do white doors anymore. So just to sort of back up your point about what you've been seeing, and yeah, people have had time to research. They've got some extra cash. They can throw up a more better quality option. It's put a much more important focus on your home because we've all spent all this year at home. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just sort of anecdotally, what we've seen is there's a lot more flush, a lot more colour, and I think houses just look far better for it.
I think from our perspective, the finding is that, as you say, about these people having more money to spend. When we first started a few years back, it was more sort of, let's say, ones and twos. Now we're getting sort of a lot more full households. They're having the done, they're having the tilt and turns done, they're having the front and the back door, as well as the inline slider, and they've got more money. But I don't think there's a big rush to move either at the moment. So people are just taking all that money, investing it in, and saying, yeah, great, I'll have exactly what I want, as opposed to just, well, we'll have that for now and we'll change it in a few years' time.
I was just going to say, just following on from what Chris was saying, it staggered me how willing homeowners, how much they were willing to spend. I mean, normally in a crisis time, you know, homeowners are quite conservative and they strap in and they don't spend so much. 10, 12, 14 grand orders became normal. You kind of get used to it in an odd way. Sorry, Yogesh, you were going to mention something.
Yeah, similar to what you were saying, Jason. I think I was surprised as well at how much people were willing to spend, just because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, gosh, there's going to be a lot of damage to the economy. People are maybe going to look to hold on to cash, but it was quite the opposite actually. And I think like Simon was saying, maybe with people working at home, saving money, less on travel fares, commuting, that kind of stuff. But also I think the perception of the general public towards home working has changed. And I think generally, culturally, as a society, people are accepting that even once COVID is over, there will probably be an element of home working in some form. So even if it was a day a week, or a day or several days per week. So I think with that in mind, a lot of people have probably thought, well, even long term, once over, I'm going to be working at home. So it was worth me spending that extra several hundred or £1,000 or whatever it is to make sure that they have things perfect and, you know, to the best that it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think customers, their expectations has increased as well now. Like Simon said, you know, years ago we used to be able to sort of supply different products, but not quite sure it was all the same furniture on them. Something would be for one person, something different else. The colours were close enough, and that used to be acceptable. But now, no, it needs to be fully integrated, fully suited, all the colours the same. And you know that the customers' demands are getting higher and higher, which is a good thing for us because it means our standards have to go up as well.
And you can see that actually just through general sort of analysis through Google and search trends. So if we go back to one of the conversations we were having earlier about lifestyle products, if you just look at the Google Analytics for bifold searches, which, you know, is a word that the consumer now can associate with something that they want with their property relatively easily. If you go back to sort of May, June time, the absolute spike in searches for bifolds and for security and for color, for guarantees and all of this sort of stuff to do with homeowners was unbelievable.
It was vertical. I mean, I remember looking through some of the data myself. It's like a mountain. It's like that. And there was you could see it clearly from sort of March, April time, building up to the summer. As you said, people spend all this time at home and working from home. I mean, we've had doors, bifolds, sliders, French doors, just flying out every week. Obviously, a good summer helped. I think, that was the one saving grace of the summer this year. We actually had a summer. We actually had some sunshine. We had an excuse to go out, have a beer and have a barbecue. And what's better is if you can have a bifold or a big slider to open all that space up. I don't know about you guys. I had about 10 barbecues. That's more in the last 3 years combined than I had. But it was nice to have the doors flung open, have a garden space easily accessible, and just be able to enjoy the garden space a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So, Chris, for obviously yourself, the partnership with VBH has been a lot of bifold over the years that we've been working together, and probably attesting to the audience listening that that's grown quite strongly for you guys. What's really been the secret for doing that?
I suppose the secret's been really across a couple of things. It's been it's primarily the service that we look to give in terms of the sort of product we're supplying, but also quality of what we do. It's sort of everything, you stand and fall by the quality of it. And certainly we found by aligning ourselves with VBH, we get hardware that's built to last, and it's something that we can be proud of. And very much, if you look across any of our sort of social media platforms, we align ourselves very closely with VBH because we know it's a name that people associate. So we took all that, but we also, we signed up for the Q Secure scheme to cover the bifold doors, and we've seen a lot of interest in that, certainly over the last few months from our customer base. And to be fair, when it went, we had this sort of £1,000 homeowner guarantee, stepping that up now to the £8,000 homeowner guarantee. I think that's a really sort of positive that we'll see as we go into next year. Sort of looking to increase and grow throughout 2021. That is going to form very much a part of our sort of marketing campaign, because I think, again, there's so many bifold systems out there in the marketplace. The Q Secure is really going to offer us some differentiation. And again, it's not a scheme that's here today, gone tomorrow. It's not by some unknown sort of Spanish manufacturer or sort of unknown Chinese manufacturer. It's from VBH. It's sort of quality. It's tested and it's reputed. So this is really going to enhance the package that we do, and it's really only going to lead to more sales for us.
I think obviously the big thing for us is if your customers are spending a lot of money on bifolding doors, windows, and lift and slide products and all of that nature. If you're able to put, our name to it to help support you guys, in order to sell your products, then if you're putting X amount of thousands of pounds towards this new product, you want to make sure that someone's going to back it up, and that's been one of the main reasons that we've pushed the Q Secure marketing option to all of our customer base, and you guys are obviously having success with it because it makes it different. It then doesn't become necessarily always a conversation about price to the end user when they're saying, well, it's been built to pass 24, it's got this, these color features to it, a range of colors, it suites with the rest of the products going into the home, and if you get broken into and it's the hardware's fault, there's someone backing that up that they'll pay out in accordance with the break-in. So again, over that initial lockdown period, we saw a lot of evidence through Google Analytics that security was a big search function for lifestyle products and hardware products in our industry too. So again, tie all of these things together, the whole aim is to obviously give a package to our partners that are able to go out and sell more. Yogesh, I think you're on the verge of coming on to Q-Secure as we've been speaking. So what's been one of the big factors for you in looking at that?
Yeah, I think like everyone else says, it's just giving the end consumer that extra edge. So that's something different that will stand out in the marketplace. And I think security is such a big thing at the moment. So anything where, we're able to convince a customer that the product that we have is of a higher security rating than what's generally out there in the marketplace, that goes on really well. And we find that it's a lot easier to therefore justify the premium in our pricing, and security is something that homeowners are definitely willing to pay that extra bit for. So yeah, I think with the marketplace being so competitive, it's really important to have things like Q-Secure, which can help us to set ourselves apart from the competition.
Yeah, it's so nice not to have to race to the bottom all the time, which is what it seems to have been for some time now, that we can actually start learning that and being able to upsell and sell more of the quality for the security packages and the range of what we've got. So it's actually a pleasant time to in the industry, really.
I've got to say, the one thing that's been the continuous theme through this conversation, the central thread is quality. Whether it's what we just talked about, backing everything up with the Q-Secure guarantee, the 8 grand promise, Mark, what you just said about earlier on, talking about flush and colour and so on. Everything we talked about is revolves around security. And what's just been said there, for too long the conversation's been about trying to prevent a race to the bottom. Well, I haven't felt that this year. I don't know about you guys, but that hasn't been a theme this year. This year is within our industry, I feel like it's been much more about quality across the board. Nothing cheap and cheerful, solid, built well, security focused. And it is nice because we seem to have this almost yearly debate about making sure we don't go too cheap, or we don't make the offering too poor, or cutting corners here and there. Whereas everything we've just talked about right now, the central thread is quality. And you know what? It's actually really nice. It's a really nice conversation to have. So it makes such a change.
Yeah, I think it does, and it's kind of ironic that if you look at other things you might buy for the homes, buy a brand new TV, and if someone said to you, well, it might last 6 months, but it's a little bit cheaper and it's a brand name that you don't know, and yet there has been, I think, a bit of a race to the bottom in our industry for a number of years. And it's certainly and I can only talk from the hardware perspective, these are the guys at the cold face and yourself, Jason, that are seeing it with the homeowners and the installers. The question that when it comes to development through VBH's products or for the services that we offer is about offering a quality partnership and a quality set of products. So, we've got, our Orion 3-star cylinder, which we're launching next year. We're not looking to, create products for our partners which are going to be second best. We want to be able to give them products they can go out and sell more of, and all of the guarantees and schemes and associated things that go with that.
I think as we move forward, I believe this year the conversation's changed. I think the renewed focus on homes, I can genuinely see as less focused on the race to the bottom. And I think in the few years to come, I think the next race is the quality offering. I think there is a new race emerging to offer the best quality, whether it's handle or cylinder or profile or colour offering. It's suddenly changed focus, and it is a good thing. Competition in general is a good thing, but if good competition results in better quality across the board, I think it can only ever be a far more positive thing for our sector in general anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely being driven by both sides, which I think is really important too. So it's not just, us as people in the industry driving that forward. As it was alluded to earlier, the end user is becoming quite more knowledgeable what they want. So, you can't go in and just sell necessarily just a white window and, bottom out the price and say, well, yeah, but, no, I've gone on the internet, I've seen all these fantastic colours, I've seen all of these, brand spanking mechanisms, lock-in mechanisms, I've seen all of these nice handles, and I've seen a bifold or a slide or an invisifold or a flush product. So it's the informed customer at the end, as well as us as an industry trying to put new products and quality products out there, is completely change the focus of what's going into a home, which I think can only be seen as a positive. And as I said, I gave my analogy about the television earlier on, and you wouldn't look at like a half-baked TV for your home. So if you're going to be spending 8, 10, 12, 15 grand on home improvements, why would you want something that's either going to become dated or doesn't live up to its reputation of being a quality product?
Yeah.
I think, as you said earlier, Mark, it does seem it's a lot easier to upsell now and sort of talk to people, because A, people have got the money that they want to spend, but B, it's down to the fact that they want to have the quality because they know they're going to be there for a lot longer. Having that sort of feeling of when you increase the handle offering again with obviously what VBH can supply, but increase all that sort of upsell on the lock-in systems, and it just gets away from, as you said, that whole to the bottom side. Well, XYZ Windows can do it for this much. How much can you do it for? And I mean, unfortunately, in our industry, we always get asked, can you do it for cash? How much for cash? But to be fair, I think I've been asked twice this year for that. Unless previous years it's always cash this, cash that, etc. Now people aren't even looking for that anymore, because they know they want to pay for the quality, and they're willing to pay for it properly, which makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, as a business, we've always been design and security focused, and I've got to say they're the two areas that pull people in the most. And I find that if we go into a homeowner, a lot of people buying a house full of windows and doors, they don't necessarily know what they want. They know they need some new windows and doors, but there's so much choice now, as Mark has alluded to earlier. There are much more informed general public out there, but there's also a lot of choice, and it's people can be blown away by how much choice there is now compared to what there was maybe 10, 15 years ago. So we lead in with security and design as the main sort of driver of our sales. And it's the best thing for us. Price becomes not irrelevant, but not the most important factor, because people are drawn in by the level of security they're going to get, the design of the product, the transformation of the home, the lifestyle products, like we've said earlier, have been particularly popular with us, bifolds and big sliders. But it's all about the design and the security, how it's going to improve the home, how it's going to change the look and appearance of somebody's home. And to be honest, we hardly do white anymore. As I said earlier, we've got stores full of flush and grey and agate grey and cream. And it's fantastic. If you were to take a picture of our stores now compared to a decade ago, they would look very, very different.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different offering now that we give, and our clients love it. Simple as that.
Yeah. I think another word to work alongside quality is choice, because the choice that the customer now has with the colours, both of profile and of the alpha range of furniture, it's stock holding, it's a lot more, but for the consumer, the choice it helps them actually. I think if they can see that if someone can offer this much compared to someone that says, well, handles, it comes with a white handle or it comes with a gold handle and that's it. Whereas if you show them that no, this is the choice you could have. Again, I think that adds to your sales tool.
I would say some of it, to be fair to Simon, VBH, they sort of moved with the times to sort of be there to support us. You just look at casements. You can now do a grey casement with a grey handle, and it all matches. You can put that grey handle on the grey door. I can even sell a bifold that's a full grey suite of rollers and handles and great mindful. So yeah, you're right, Mark, when you say about the choice. And again, it's where VBH, to be fair to them, have reacted to that to give us the choice, so that no is not an answer anymore. It's, as you say, Mark, it's the option of what what the customers want. It's almost, there was an extent with pattern glass quite some years ago, where there were sometimes too many patterns. It's nice to have a lot of choice now with the hardware and with the furniture, because it's somewhere you can say, yeah, that's what I want. Great, So again, it's all about the sale.
There is a lot more attention to detail than ever before. Before they'd get somebody in, or windows, they're white handles, that's it. Oh, have I got to choose a pattern for the bathroom? But now, with what's available, there is a lot more detail to consider.
But Mark, I've found doing the day job, selling to the general public, that attention to detail matters. People buy into that. They have faith in what you do as a job, as a profession. I mean, it'd be interesting to see any installers watching if this comes across as a similar point of view. But I've found that as more choice has become available, which is great, it is where we are now as a sector is way better than we were 15 years ago. It does require, if you're an installer, to really, really know your stuff. A, because the general public is more knowledgeable. But B, I've found that if you're able to help guide somebody, because there can be so much choice, your wisdom, your eye for design, your eye for the details that matter, that in itself, that guiding hand, that in itself is a huge thing for installers. And I had one last week. I had a guy come in, had a big sort of 1920s, 30s, big semi-detached, full of character, really nice home. He had no idea. There was so much choice. So we went through different frame styles, the different hardware options. Nothing pushy, nothing overly assertive, just simply showing the options and maybe sort of indicating what will work or won't work, considering the type of house that he's got. And he left an hour later, massively informed, but excited, but engaged in the process and excited to get the process going. I'm seeing him next week. And if you've got that knowledge and if you've got that eye for design and just a little helping hand here and there, as an installer with all the choice that's available, that's so important.
Yeah. We do find sometimes, just being a trade manufacturer, we miss that opportunity of engaging with the homeowner, because we know I see things on the factory floor, whether it's the door with certain a standard handle, and you look at it and you just think, if only they'd gone for this. I wonder if anybody tried to tell them that this was available or that was available. The chances are no, because a lot of sales staff, and I don't mean this disrespectful, but a lot of sales staff will just go out to sell the job and get their commission, whatever. But if they knew what was available, so it's almost between us as the manufacturer and our customer and the homeowner. There's almost like this brick wall between us, and it's our customer. It's trying to educate them to what is available.
What you've just said there, Mark, it rings true for me. I mean, it can be the difference between an installation looking fine to it looking absolutely not. You sound fantastic. Like you say, there is there is an element of people just selling it for the sake of selling it, just to collect a wage, and then that's it. But I think the more attention to detail you pay, the more choice you explain to the customer, the more informed you make them.
Yeah.
The more chance you have in actually getting them to pay more attention to the fancier stuff. You can command a better price. Like I said earlier, the price becomes less relevant at that point because they've already bought into the process of the product and security and the hardware and everything else. And I think it makes the job of selling easier rather than the traditional selling. If you just guide the customer, show the choice, explain the choice, explain how maybe one choice might benefit their home more than another, you will win that order more times than not.
It's one of the big things we've done with the Q Secure guarantee, which the guys obviously use here. It's the website is also geared towards home end users as well. So they're able to go on and look at the hardware that we've got available, get into the range of colors that we do for the window handles, the door handles, letter plates, everything, so it's all suited. As well as obviously engage them with, if you're requesting that your bifold door, for example, is a Q-Secure guaranteed product, it has to be made to pass 24 certification, which is what you should be having in terms of security. So what we've tried to do with Q-Secure is market something for our partners here, but also market it slightly differently to the end users, so that they're actually coming to ask questions of their installers to say, well, I've had 2 or 3 people come around to quote on this job. This guy's doing this guy's doing this, but this guy here is saying that his is going to have this level of security. It's going to have a 3-star cylinder. It's going to have a suite range of products. And if all of that fails, I've got a piece of paper here that I sign that says that someone will come out and fix that job for me and support me. So, everything that we're doing, it's interesting what Mark was saying there, because there can be on occasions that brick wall that's put up, and that sometimes we don't upsell enough about what we do as an industry. We've got fabulous products, everyone's got fabulous products and really innovative stuff as well. But it's almost like we want to go in and we want to just close that deal, so quickly at any cost, and then we just end up in a price war. It shouldn't be like that, because in so many other things that consumers buy, they're not always looking for the cheapest variant. They're just looking for options. So if we can start to present, and that's what we're trying to do with Q-Secure, and certainly with the VBH products, and is to get that information already to the end user, through our website, through the advertising that we're doing in digital format as well as in magazines, so that people come back and say, well, actually, I want to have a Q-Secure product, and then they're able to search on qsecure.co.uk and find a local installer that's going to do that for them, as opposed to just being bombarded with 4 different people who are potentially going to try and run the price straight to the bottom.
Yeah,
Totally agree. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Simon, Yogesh, Mark, Chris, thank you for joining us on this webinar at FENEX. Be sure to visit the VBH stand during the day, especially to talk to them about their Q-Secure guarantee. And thank you all very much for your time, and have a great 2021.
Thank you, Jason.
Bye-bye.
Cheers,
thank you,
guys.
and you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.